2.2, power functions with modeling.
We actually have to do chemistry today.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, we had to eat food yesterday after the game.
That's so fun for you guys.
That was a good time.
Alright, determine whether the function is a power function given that c, g, k, and pi represent constants. And you know, they have to put pi in there because one time I had somebody tell me that pi was a variable. For those that are power functions, state the power and constant of variation. Number 2. F of x equals 9x to the 5/3. Is this a power function? To the 5/3.
Oh.
Sorry, it's kind of small.
Is it a power function?
Why did I take you down?
Well, let's see.
Oh man, I forgot I did my own.
It is a power function.
Okay, so then what's the power?
Oh, wait.
5.
Yep. And what's the constant of variation?
9.
9x.
9. X is a variable, X is not a number.
Yeah.
That's why they list out which letters they're using as numbers and which ones, like, and then the other ones you can assume are variables. For f of x equals 13, is this a power function?
It's not.
No.
It's not.
Are you sure?
Oh.
Oh, now I'm not.
It's never not gonna be a.
Never not.
What would its power be?
0. That's not
Yep.
a thing. Oh, wait.
Because anything raised to the 0 is,
Itself.
yes, well, no, 1.
Oh.
Anything raised to the 0 is 1. So your variable, if it was raised to the 0, would just be 1, which is why it's not written there. That's why it's still a power function. So what's the constant of variation?
13.
Yep.
I don't like that.
6. Ke of v is equal to 1/2 kv to the 5th.
E of V.
Kinetic energy,
Oh.
physics functions. So just as a reminder, it says that c, g, k, and pi are constants. So, is this a power function? And if so, what's the power?
It is a power.
What's the power then?
5.
And the constant of variation?
1/2.
And? Yep, because k is a number.
Oh yeah.
In this case, k is a number. Or not 8, 10. 10 f of a equals m times a.
What's F of A? Is that gravity?
Force.
Force?
This one requires you to know a little bit of information. This tells you what the variable is. Okay, what's in here. In all of the cases when we've had a variable, it's been given to you inside. Okay, so that says that in this case a is our variable, implying that m is going to be a constant. Okay, so what is the power? And constant of variation?
M.
Yep. Okay, the next one's determine whether the function is a monomial function given that L and pi represent constants. For those that are monomial functions, state the degree and leading coefficient. For those that are not, explain why not. So if it's not monomial, then we need to explain why it's not. So 12 f of x. equals 3 minus 5. Wait. Scratch that. I can't talk. 3x raised to the negative 5.
Oh yeah, that would have been completely different.
Yeah, I was like, no, hold on. So, is this monomial?
Sure. Yeah, mine too.
Yes.
Maybe. I think so.
Brief hold.
Monomial.
I'm trying to check something and make sure I have this
Yeah,
written
so
Monomial.
correctly.
Yeah. But it's not a polynomial.
I know.
Two.
Hmm. Don't be like
Okay. So what was the conclusion? Is it or is it not?
It is.
No.
Not.
It is
It
not.
not.
Okay, it is
No, I,
Was the negative?
I didn't finish my sentence.
not monomial because what? Okay, let's just. I just
Well, since I
can't.
didn't know, I'm not gonna be able to answer why.
It's not monomial because there's a negative exponent.
Oh.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's why I was checking to make sure that I had that right because I was like, everybody keeps saying yes, so let me check. All right. 14.
Wait, so does it have the same rules as like the other?
Yes. Just now, it also can't have like multiple terms.
Yeah. Or then it would be.
Ah.
Monomial means one, so there can only be one, but it has to have the same polynomial rules and the exponents and stuff. Y equals negative 2 times 5 to the x. So is this monomial?
It's
No.
not.
No.
Why?
It's more
There's
than
more
one
than one
term.
term.
No, they're being multiplied, but
Oh.
there's a variable in the exponent.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That was gonna be my second guess.
I bet it was.
No, but like you knew that.
No, like it actually was this time.
When I say two
swear.
terms, I'm talking about like negative 3x squared plus 2x. Like that's not monomial because
Okay,
there's
like
two
stuff
terms.
that can't be like put together.
Yeah. Like if it's like that was just multiplying, so it's just those two things being multiplied. It was just the way that they wrote it.
Let's see, I usually say the right answer is my second guess, but this time I'm telling the truth. That literally was my second.
All right. A equals L times W. Is this monomial?
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
Okay, if yes, what is the degree and leading coefficient? If no, why is it not?
That is such a good question.
Actually.
Oh wait, no, it
yes.
is.
The
It
degree
is because
is
L
one.
is a
Degree is
L.
1.
L's a wait no wait
I'm
L's
gonna
a
say
constant, not a
yes,
coefficient.
because they can have what, like the same units.
Yeah.
So yes, it's monomial. Okay, it has a degree of 1. Okay, we were told at the beginning in the instructions, and I know you don't have them in front of you, but the L and pi represent constants. Okay, so the degree is 1, because that's what's on W, and the leading coefficient
1
is L,
or L.
because it's just a constant. If it wasn't a constant, then that would be different.
Oh, because pi.
Oh,
Right. Oh,
I'm
okay,
gonna
guys.
go for Ozempic.
Ow.
My dad does the when Riley serves in the
That's
game.
funny.
Or if she does something like, one of those like setter dumps or something.
Oh yeah, I love when she does that. She's so excited. I like when she sets and Hope gets a kill and she like bends down and like points. Like it's really funny. And I'm like, oh.
I know, it's so great. Okay, the next one's write the statement as a power function equation. Use k for the constant of variation if one is not given.
Sure.
Okay, so I am going to write out the problem. You do not have to write out the problem when you're doing them. However, they will be copied and pasted on the test or quiz, so I would probably recommend writing it. But if you're not feeling it, you don't have to. The volume V of a circular cylinder with fixed height is proportional to the square of its radius. Now, does anybody know what the volume of a circular cylinder is?
Oh,
V equals. Never.
if you look on our test, it's on there.
All right, well, think about what's the area of a circle.
Isn't
Pi
pi
r
r squared each?
Yep. So it's a circular cylinder, so you take, the end of the circular cylinder is obviously a circle.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the area of that, to get volume, we just have to multiply by height. So that's how we get it, in case you happen to forget it. That's how you can remember it. Because I will admit that volume formulas are not used super often, at least not in what we do in
I
high
don't
school
know,
math,
because of
so
the quiz
it's harder to
yesterday.
remember.
Yesterday.
I took my quiz yesterday.
That is true. It was also on the quiz. All right. A couple things to notice. It says fixed height. Okay. And then it's proportional to the square of its radius. It does not tell us exactly what that is. So it told us in the problem, if you are not given a constant of variation, use K. Okay, so we're going to use K for the constant. Now, R is still going to be in the formula. But part of the fixed height thing is that's the constant value. Fixed height, K is constant, K. Your radius is obviously the variable that we're dealing with. So, we're going to replace stuff here. So when we do that, we get V is equal to, we're going to incorporate pi with this height, K, to give our one constant K, so we don't have like multiple values out front. So we're going to call it K r squared, because our radius is our variable, and so K is replacing pi in our height.
Okay.
No, that's it.
You said K was replacing the height and pi?
Yes. Let me see. You're gonna have to do 19, so I just want to give you a hint for 19. The formula that goes with that, because you would never have seen this formula before, is V equals IR. Now, you have to manipulate it to get the right answer for that one. But that is the formula that goes with it.
What is
It's letters. Do it.
Okay.
So painful.
Write a sentence that expresses the relationship in the formula. Use the language of variation or proportion. So, 24. It says C equals pi d, where C and D are the circumference and diameter of the circle, and pi is the usual mathematical constant. Okay, so we're going to write a sentence explaining this. Okay, meaning you're going to say something like the circumference C of a circle is, and this is where we either write the word proportional or varies directly, or well,
Oh. Wait.
we would say either varies directly and take out the is, or we would say that it is proportional. Okay, to its diameter, d, with the constant of variation pi. So, because of the way this is written, okay, C equals pi d, that means that the circumference is proportional, okay, to its diameter with a constant of variation, pi. So you just write proportional. And again, these would be copied and pasted, so as long as you know what they are, you'll be fine. All right, and then one more, number 26. D equals p squared over 2g, where d is the distance traveled by a free-falling object dropped from rest, p is the speed of the object, and g is the constant acceleration due to gravity. So, what do you think this one's going to be? Is it going to be a varies directly or a proportional one?
I think that means it's gonna vary directly.
Varies directly. Okay. And just as more of a FYI, in case you end up taking physics in the future at any point, whether it's here or just in general, the gravitational acceleration constant is 9.81 meters per second squared. It's more of just a fun fact for you. So we say the distance d traveled by a free-falling object dropped from rest varies directly with the square of its speed p with the constant of variation 1 over 2g, because those are all constant numbers.
How can you tell when if it's varies directly or proportional?
Pretty much if it's a fraction or not a fraction. Because and sometimes it requires you to manipulate first to see what it is. So just know that just because it's given to you as one or the other doesn't necessarily mean that. You may have to manipulate, possibly. Alright, so then your problems are going to be 1 through 23 odd. And what I'm going to do, since this ended up taking a little bit longer than we thought, is I will give you the rest of today and tomorrow, since you have the problems from yesterday too, because I assume you probably didn't do them. So, today and tomorrow, and all of it will be due at the end of class tomorrow.